So, good afternoon everyone. Thought I'd make another little video, seeing as we're a couple of weeks post the Cat 100 race in Kidspor, which was my first 100-mile race. So I'm going to give a little brief breakdown of how it went, how I feel now, and what the plan is moving forward. Alright, so how did it go? Really well. I came fifth. I got a time of 23 hours, 13 minutes. And the course was 161 kilometers. It was shortened by 10 kilometers because the weather was so bad. So I think they cut out basically just under 1,000 high meters. And 10 kilometers, one kind of smaller mountain, and I think it was a bit of a dangerous section, and it was on and off torrential rain for the race, so good call. But yeah, anyway, it was 161 kilometers. My watch read 9,450 high meters, so still a significant amount, and I'm pretty happy with the time, particularly for my first 100-miler. So going into the race, I felt comfortable with the 100-kilometer distance, and I kind of know how to pace that, but I wasn't sure how I was going to pace 100 miles. I wasn't sure how different my pace would be from my 100-kilometer pace. It's just completely unknown to me. So yeah, I basically decided that I would kind of find someone who seemed to be going at a reasonable pace, who had preferably more experience than me, and kind of use them as a bit of a pacer. So I'd been keeping an eye on the start list, and I noticed Robbie Britton was on there. If you don't know who Robbie Britton is, he's the British 24-hour record holder. So how far can you run in 24 hours in good conditions, flat, in a circle, basically. So that's his thing. He's very well known in his niche. There's a lawnmower here, that's going to be loud. I'll carry on in a sec. Okay, so Robbie. He's also an ambassador of Precision Fuel and Hydration, which I am as well. It's on my hat there. And so he's got a much higher score. He's in the 800s somewhere on the ITRA thing, or the UTMB index. But I knew that perhaps we could be well matched, because I've basically only run in the mountains, and it's not his speciality. His speciality is flat running. So I thought maybe, he's a good person to run with. He's definitely got a lot of experience, and yeah, I think he seemed like a sensible person. From what I could gather, he wasn't a person that would just go mad at the beginning and blow themselves up. So I was like, okay, Robbie, I'm going to see what he's up to during the race. And yeah, I met him on the start line, and we literally ran together for 90% of the race. Hello, person walking on the trail. I just quickly say hello. It was cool. It was really cool with Robbie, and it was extremely relaxed. He can talk. He can talk a lot, which was great. And so we just chatted about whatever for ages. which was just a fantastic distraction. And it was good to have him as well for navigation. He didn't actually have the navigation on his watch all the time. I did, but he did have his eyes open more than I did. I must have got a bit distracted, and there were a few times where I almost missed a turning, but he spotted it. So it's always useful to run with another person for one, just being distracted, and navigation and just general company. It helps. Also, if if one's running in front of the other on a downhill, it's kind of easier for the person behind. They don't have to concentrate so much. So it does help you out. But then Robbie kind of pointed out on a few occasions, he kept saying that I seemed a little stronger, and he was kind of encouraging me to just run my own race and go on ahead. Maybe he was trying to get rid of me, I'm not sure. I think he was just being honest, and I did feel, I would say, stronger than he seemed, but I kept kind of saying no and stayed with him most of the time, and I made that choice because I just wanted to make sure that I did this race cautiously, because you should always be cautious when you jump up a distance, and the distance, the gap between 100 kilometers and 160 kilometers is significant. So I didn't know what to expect, so I thought the most sensible thing I can do is just run a little easier than easy, and I think that was a really good decision. And so basically at about, I think it was about 120, then I just pulled away from Robbie, because it was pretty close to the end of the race at that point, and I felt fine, and I thought if there's any time where I want to run my own race, it's now. 120k in, started pulling away from Robbie, and still felt, really good. And the craziest thing about this whole race, and I almost feel like my mind's playing tricks on me, but it's not, because I said this kind of straight after to Catalina, it was surprisingly easy. And I know so many people are going to be like, shut up, you can't tell me that 100 mile race with 9,000 high meters is easy. But it was. Of course, I'm speaking, relatively. Ultra running is hard, but I really stayed below my easy pace. I fueled really well. I managed to average, including everything I had at the, I averaged 91 grams of carbohydrates per hour just with my precision hydration fuel. Then when I saw Catalina, which was 3 times, she had some avocado and hummus sandwiches for me, so I had a little bit of a mini sandwich every time I saw her, and I had some banana at the aid stations in it, and at basically every single aid station I had either a Coke or a Red Bull. I decided to stay caffeinated the whole time because it was in the night. Normally I kind of save the caffeine for the second half, but I decided a different strategy this time, and that was good. I think that worked well. I actually started and I said to Robbie, I think it was already about 30, maybe only 20-30k in, I was like, I'm feeling a bit sleepy. Then I started drinking Red Bull and Coke, and I was fine. The last 20k was hard, but mainly because it was an extremely technical steep climb. It was really muddy and wet, torrential rain. So in between all the technical rocks, it was slippy. it was just really hard to move forward, and it was one of those climbs where you think you get to the top and then you realise you're kind of on a little plateau, and then you go down a bit and then you go up again, and it was just so hard to keep up a decent pace, because even on the flatter sections it was just technical or slippy or boggy. So the last 20k was hard, but I mean, I think that's pretty good going, to feel so good for 140k and feel, you know, I didn't even feel bad in the last 20k. I didn't feel bad. I had energy, I was fine. I was just a bit tired, obviously. Feet were wet, feet were a bit blistered, but nothing major. So what that says to me is that I paced it really well, as I wanted to, thanks to Robbie. Cautiously, but it also says to me that I could have gone faster. I definitely could have gone faster, and Robbie said so. Robbie could see it, and he's, you know, experienced runner. He's an experienced coach. He coaches Hayden Hawks, for God's sake. Bike come past, and he could see that I could push a bit harder. So that just fills me with loads of confidence. I'm really happy about that. At the same time, it also scares me a little bit, because I know I've had such a smooth race. I'm a little bit scared for another race that might not go so smoothly. So yeah, based on what I learned, I think I would be able to basically do the race again, if I could. And yeah, do a better time, get a better position. Having said that, I'm just perfectly happy with what happened, because it was just a great confidence booster, a really good learning experience, and I feel like really confident about the 100-mile distance now, even though I've only done one. But at least I have done one before I go to UTMB in 2024, which was the whole plan, just to gain experience, because I didn't want UTMB to be my first 100-miler. I wanted to go to UTMB having done it, understand my nutrition needs, and be able to give it my all. And I think that's where I'm at now. So, recovery. I had 8 full days off, and I had like a slight injury, actually. I had a pain across the top of my foot, front of my ankle area. And I could feel it in the last 30k, but it was the last 30k. I had to get to the finish, and it wasn't so painful that I felt like I had to stop and give up. It was just like, oh, I can feel something there. It feels a bit sore, a bit strained. So yeah, of course I carried on. And yeah, after the race, my foot and my ankle swelled up a lot. And I could kind of walk, but I had to just be very careful with it. And there were certain positions, weirdly lying down, where like as soon as I'd lift my leg up and lay it down in the bed, it would just hurt so much, excruciatingly, just for a few seconds, and then it would settle down again. So I think it was like some kind of issue with a tendon that runs across the front of your foot, up your ankle, and across your shin and up to your knee. I can't remember what it's called. Someone will know. You can write it in the comments if you want. But yeah, I felt like it wasn't a huge issue. I just really needed to rest. So I did. 8 days off. And then, yeah, after the 8th day, when I decided to go for a run, I could still feel that the issue was there. The ankle was just very slightly swollen, just a little bit of a lump. But I just tested out running, and it actually wasn't a problem. It was just like extreme dorsiflexion that seemed to be the issue. And kind of just normal running was not really an issue at all. So I decided to give it a go. Did a couple of recovery runs and they went fine. And then the next day I decided I'd do a little bit of a longer run. I ended up doing like 13 kilometers. There's a lorry coming. Right, ended up doing 13 kilometers on kind of rolling trails, mildly technical, nothing major, but that seemed to be a little too much. So not for the ankle was fine, but just for my legs, it was like the muscle damage from the 100 miler versus the 100k, for example, just seemed to be so much deeper. And the next day my legs were just screwed again. And during the run, like on the downhills, I kind of felt like that my legs just weren't reacting fast enough. The muscles weren't reacting fast enough. Yeah, it was a strange feeling. Hello. So yeah, there's definitely a big difference in recovery between 100 miles and 100k, or at least from what I've observed. After that day, I took another couple of days off. I mean, I probably could have done recovery runs on those days, but I just felt like that one run took me back to square one. And yeah, I thought, I've achieved all my goals of the season. If there's any time I can take days off, it's now. But yeah, now I'm back to running, doing a bit of a 10k today with a few high meters on some trails, and I feel like my legs have got some life again. The issue with the tendon has completely gone. Now I literally can't feel anything. I can do dorsiflexion. It's like completely normal. So yeah, I've learned about recovery for 100 miles. It's definitely more intense than the recovery compared to 100k. But yeah, feeling good now. So, the plan for the rest of the season. I've done everything that's important to me. I've qualified for the UTMB World Series finals. I got my first 100-mile race under my belt in order to gain experience, and they were my only two goals for the season. So it's quite a nice position to be in now, because I can just sort of tick over and get ready for next year. So my plan is to reduce my volume compared to my normal training a little bit, and replace that volume with a little bit of bit more intensity. So I'll keep my runs, particularly my long runs, a little shorter. And yeah, I'll focus on building some speed, because now's the time to do that, because what I really want to do is ultras, and particularly now the 100-mile distance I'm very interested in. So speed is like the least specific thing that I need for that, but I still need it, and it will always do me good and always improve my fitness. So yeah, I'll spend the rest of the season slightly low volume, a bit more intensity, and yeah, I might do at the end of the season one of the races from the Tour de Tyrol. The Tour de Tyrol is a 3-day stage race, 10k first day, marathon the next day, and there's like a 23 kilometer the day after. But I'm not keen on stage races. I would much prefer to just put full effort in on one day, rather than have to wake up the next day and then do another race, wake up the next day, do another race. I'm not keen on that. I might get tempted. I'm open to the possibility that closer to the time I might get tempted to do the full 3 days, because that is how to do the Tour de Tyrol properly. However, I think I'll probably just do the middle one, the Kaiser Marathon. So the Kaiser Marathon is 42.2 kilometers, and it's got, I think, 2,400 high meters in on very runnable terrain. It's had the likes of Jonathan Wyatt, Robbie Simpson, Thomas Roach more recently as winners. So yeah, I'm not particularly fast, not fast enough really to do well at that race. Last year I did it, and I was actually I had some issues mid-season last year, nothing to do with running. But yeah, with like blurry vision and motion sickness and stuff. Turned out to be just tension in my back. But anyway, yeah, I took some time off for that, and yeah, so I didn't really have a good build-up to the Kaiser Marathon. I just kind of did it because why not? I came 8th with a time of 4 hours 15 minutes. But yeah, I cramped like hell. And when I've cramped previously, it seems to be when I'm undertrained, as opposed to a lack of sodium. So yeah, I mean, this year I should be able to do better. I mean, if I just don't cramp, I will do better. But for me, a sub 4 hour time would be really good. I'd be really impressed with that. I'd love to end up on the podium, but there are quite a few good runners that are better in that shorter distance than I am around. So yeah, I think it'll be hard for me to get a really good position there. But let's just see if I can beat my time from last year. We'll see what happens. Right, so well, that's it really. I think we'll wrap it up there. I have to apologise that I know these videos are a bit shit at the moment. It's just me talking at the camera. It's not really that much meaningful content, but I'm going to keep doing them anyway, because I know they'll get better. So I'm going to keep making bad videos until I eventually make a good one, and then hopefully I'll keep making good ones. It's all good practice. So yeah, nice one. Like, subscribe if you want to. If you don't bother. And see you on the next one. Peace out. Cheers.